She yearns for a touch that unhooks the clock, the kind that dissolves the room, hushes the eyes around her, and turns the next minute into a rumor. A steady palm at the hollow of her back that warms her spine from the base to the breath. Fingers resting at the sweep of her hip like they were built for that curve. A controlled line along her collarbone that catches her inhale before her words can form. These are not routines, they are doors, and the men who understand them do not sprint after approval. They do not plead for attention. They take the moment as if it were already theirs, using nothing more than presence and hands that know what stillness can say. 4 places, 4 forms of contact she will feel in her body long after the lights go out. Learn them, and you will not see her the same way again. Learn them, and she will not forget how your calm changed the air. Everything here assumes reciprocity. Read her eyes, her shoulders, her breath. If she tightens, you ease. If she steps back, you give ground. A man's power is not in forcing the world, but in meeting what is there with discipline. 1, the small of her back. This place is quiet and ancient at once. It sits where protection meets desire and where guidance looks like comfort. When your hand rests just above her hips and just below her waist, you speak a sentence without sound. You are with me. You are safe beside me. I am paying attention. It is not rough. It is not needy. It is unmistakably masculine because it is measured. Women feel that measure like a low current. It is reassurance braided with awareness. It is intimate enough to claim a nearness, and far enough to protect the space around it. When done with intention, this touch is not about ownership. It is about presence that steadies the ground under both of you. Picture a crowded street where the noise tries to carry her away. Your hand settles there, and the two of you move as one line through the noise. Imagine leaning in so she can hear you above music and conversation. Your palm lands for a breath at that small, and the exchange becomes private without announcing itself. See yourself standing behind her while she decides what to order, and your hand finds that point, anchoring without holding. It is simple. It is spare. It says more than most men ever say with speeches. You are seen. You are guarded. In this moment, you belong here. Most men press too hard or rush as if speed earned confidence. This place rewards composure, a slow arrival, a steady hold, no flinch, no performance. Because women do not only respond to coordinates on the body, they respond to the man who is there when the hand arrives. If you can touch the small of her back with a centered, unshakable frame, she will remember the silence more than the contact. She will remember the way her shoulders softened without a word. She will remember that your presence made decisions easy. That is what lingers. That is what she thinks about later when the room is dark and the day is finally quiet. 2. The curve of her hip. There is a reason this contact carries a different charge. Her hip is where grace meets grounding. It is a place that tells the story of balance without saying anything. When your hand lands there, you are not just touching, you are communicating direction. Holding her hand can feel polite. Touching her face can feel openly romantic. The curve of her hip is older than both. It speaks to instinct before language has time to interfere. It does not only say, "I am here." It says, "I am leading, and I want you right here with me." It is an anchor disguised as a gesture. Guide her through a doorway and let your hand live there for the step. Draw her a breath closer during conversation and watch how words become fewer and truer. On a dance floor, let your hand rest there, firm without strain, and the rhythm will feel like something you own together. Why does it work? Because the hip is a threshold. It is where closeness begins but does not rush to possess. It is brave without being intrusive. It is assertive without force. Done correctly, this contact tells her she can exhale. You have command, not because you are loud, but because you are composed. Here is another truth. This place tests your energy in seconds. If you are anxious, she will sense the tremor at once. If you are overeager, she will step away and wrap herself in distance. But if you are calm, grounded, and precise, she will settle into the shape you are offering. This is not only about skin, it is about the authority of a man who does not need to announce that he leads. He shows it with direction that feels natural to follow, not with speeches, not with pressure, with a hand that knows where to be and when to release. When you do that, she will not only notice, she will look for it again. Because what we trust, we return to. And this touch, when clean of neediness, becomes something she trusts. 3. Her collarbone. Most men ignore this line because it seems small. To the untrained, it looks like a detail. But touch is not only nerves and skin, it is meaning. Her collarbone is a quiet gate. It is close to breath and closer to heart. It is a place we instinctively shield and a place that, when revealed, feels like a secret on display. Strangers do not touch here. Casual hands do not belong here. Connection lives here. When your fingertips trace this ridge with intention, you are saying, I see you and I am near without taking. You are saying, I can be this close and still practice restraint. Restraint is not the opposite of desire. It is desire under control. That is magnetic. Why does it matter? Because this line sits at the meeting of exposure and defense. It can be highlighted by a dress, an open shoulder, or the simple angles of a t-shirt. Its visibility makes it psychologically charged. Touching her collarbone is not a claim. It is a permission you earn by being patient. It is intimate because it is not brazen, yet it signals closeness with clarity. It tells her you are confident enough to be here and patient enough to stop here. Presence plus patience is a chemistry most men never learn. How to do it right? Do not grab. Gently graze. Adjust the chain around her neck and let your knuckles brush that line as you finish. Lean in to speak. Rest your fingertips there for a heartbeat. Then withdraw like you meant to leave. Trace the slope from shoulder to collarbone and abandon the path before she expects it. It is the pause you leave, not the touch you prolong, that writes itself into her memory. The mind loops what was incomplete. She will replay the moment, because the moment ended with room still in it. That is how anticipation is born. That is how closeness grows without noise. 4. The outside of her thigh. This one carries weight. It is not delicate. It is not ornamental. It is grounding. It is the place where touch stops decorating the scene and starts changing the atmosphere. You are not threading fingers. You are not brushing past. You are staking a calm flag that says, I am here and I am staying present. Why does this feel irresistible when done right? Because it lives in the narrow territory between safety and claim. Walking side by side, it shields and guides. Sitting close, it steadies both of you without a word. It is charged, but the charge is unspoken. It says, you are with me, in a way that makes over-explaining unnecessary. And that undertone does not only make her feel wanted, it gives her a contained place to rest the storm she carries through the day. Picture a car at night, a bar after the noise peaks, or a couch while the film hums. Your hand rests on the outside of her thigh, firm enough to exist and patient enough to remain still. No squeezing, no tapping, just presence. Suddenly, the chatter around you fades like a dimmer sliding down. That small anchor becomes a conversation on its own. It tells her she does not need to perform. It tells her she can exhale and hand you the wheel without losing herself. The reason runs deeper than technique. This touch bypasses the mind and speaks directly to the nervous system. It feels natural when the man is natural. It feels wrong when he is acting. It is not permissionless. It is mutual. It is not a grab. It is a ground. And when a woman is grounded well, her guard can rest without dropping her dignity. Safety and aliveness can live in the same moment. Few places allow both. This is one of them. There is a condition. You cannot counterfeit this. If you are nervous, she will feel the micro movements that give you away. If you are performing to get a reaction, she will retreat into calculation. This works only when it grows out of real presence, out of a self that is settled and does not need to chase reassurance. You are there. You stay there. You leave when you choose. That steadiness is addictive because it is rare. Use it while moving through a crowded room to guide her body without pulling. Use it while seated to let her lean into the weight of your hand rather than the weight of her thoughts. Use it while standing close. Touch for a sentence, then release before she believes you will. Presence and release. That rhythm builds more tension than any loud gesture because mystery breathes in the space you leave. Women do not crave what is predictable. They crave a man who could push further but respects the line he drew. The outside of her thigh is perfect for this because it suggests without trespassing. It lives at the edge of intimacy and lets her mind ask its favorite question. What if? Do it right, and she will not only notice, she will return to the memory like a song that attaches itself to a season. She will remember that your hand felt sure without strain. She will remember that you did not need to prove anything to be undeniable. She will remember that in one moment she felt safe and wanted without contradiction. That is the difference between boys and men. It is not the hand, it is the energy behind it. Quiet, certain, unmoving when stillness is called for, and decisive when action is needed. Bring that energy to something as ordinary as contact, and the ordinary becomes a ritual. She will not forget the ritual. She will remember the man who kept it sacred. The small of her back, the curve of her hip, her collarbone, the outside of her thigh, 4 places that speak below language and get past the walls we learn to build. If you have ever felt a moment shift under your fingers and watched her melt because your presence told the truth, you know this is real. If you have not, practice being the man before practicing the touch. Presence first, direction second, touch last. When you move in that order, she will feel it without you explaining. anything. She will feel it without you naming it. She will remember it because the body keeps better records than the tongue. Subscribe to The Daily Stoic for more.